Hello friends, dear learners and my dear student. First of all, I take an opportunity to welcome you at my TYBSc Analytical Chemistry class. Student, I am Dr. S.R. Loveday, working as Associate Professor in Chemistry at KTGM College, Nashik. Friends, in previous lecture we discussed the technique of column chromatography. Under this we study adsorption column chromatography and partition column chromatography. In addition to this, we discuss the applications of column chromatography. In today's lecture, we will discuss the technique of paper chromatography. Adsorption chromatography and partition chromatography are the two main types of column chromatography. But paper chromatography that can be performed only in a partition type. That means in this case, stationary phase is liquid and mobile phase is also liquid. Therefore, here a paper chromatography is a partition type of chromatography in which stationary phase is liquid and mobile phase is also liquid. If we consider the stationary phase, that stationary phase is a moisture absorbed on the surface of cellulose paper. As a name itself suggests that it is a paper chromatography, means there is a cellulose paper. This cellulose paper that acts as a support for a stationary phase. This cellulose paper is similar to our Whatman filter paper, which we are using in quantitative analysis. Therefore, this cellulose paper, and this is also a cellulose paper, but in paper chromatography, cellulose paper in this dimension is used. This cellulose paper is hydrophilic in nature. That means it has the ability to absorb a moisture on its surface. That absorbed moisture acts as a stationary phase in liquid chromatography, in paper chromatography. Therefore, here the cellulose paper acts as a support for a liquid chromatography. This cellulose paper acts as a support for a liquid stationary phase, and that is a moisture. Mobile phase in paper chromatography is also a liquid, but that is a liquid which is immiscible with water. Generally, the organic solvent or mixture of organic solvent that can be used as a mobile phase in paper chromatography. Therefore, in paper chromatography, stationary phase is liquid, mobile phase is also liquid, and we know that a chromatographic technique performed by using liquid as a stationary phase, that is called as a partition chromatography. Now we discuss what is actually the separation principle involved in a paper chromatography. As a paper chromatography is a partition chromatography, in paper chromatography, moisture present on the surface of cellulose paper acts as a stationary liquid phase, while a mobile phase is another a liquid. Sample which is to be separated, that is dissolved into suitable solvent, generally a volatile solvent, and that is loaded at the end of the one paper, at the end of this cellulose paper. Then here this cellulose paper is placed in contact with the mobile phase. Therefore, mobile phase dissolves the sample component and those carries over the stationary phase liquid. Again, we know that two liquids are in contact with each other containing solute, and therefore, depending upon the solubility, the sample components are get separated. Therefore, the components which have a more solubility in stationary phase liquid, that is water, that will be adsorbed at the bottom of this paper. While the mobile phase, while the component which have a more solubility in mobile phase, that travels with the mobile phase. Therefore, on the basis of solubility difference, sample components are separated in paper chromatography. Here in paper chromatography, stationary phase as well as mobile phase both are liquid. Paper chromatography cannot be performed by using gas as a mobile phase. Here, paper chromatography can be performed by using liquid as a mobile phase and one liquid, that is a moisture present on the surface of cellulose paper, that act as a stationary phase. This is the basis of separation in paper chromatography. Discuss the technique of paper chromatography. We know that paper chromatography is a partition type of chromatography and there is a stationary phase liquid. Therefore, there is requirement of the support for the stationary phase, and here support to the stationary phase is a cellulose paper. Generally, selection of cellulose paper is done on the basis of its dimension, and its dimension is selected as 10 to 14 centimeter in length and about 3 to 4 centimeter in width, that means 3 to 4 centimeter in width. Such a type of cellulose paper is selected. Generally, such a strip is selected for the support for the stationary phase. As we know that cellulose is hydrophilic in nature. Therefore, here when we expose this cellulose paper to atmosphere, immediately it will absorb the moisture from the atmosphere, and that absorbed moisture acts as a stationary phase. Here, stationary phase, that is a present on the surface of cellulose paper, and there is no requirement of any other stationary phase in paper chromatography. Therefore, simply we have to expose that paper to the atmosphere, and moisture present in atmosphere, that will be immediately absorbed by this paper, and that acts as a stationary phase. We does not spray the water on this paper as a stationary phase. Simply we have to expose it to the atmosphere, and that acts as a stationary phase liquid. Second thing is that selection of mobile phase. In paper chromatography, mobile phase or developing solvent is selected on the basis of solubility of sample component. That is, sample component must be soluble into the mobile phase, and then only those are get carried by or transported by the mobile phase on the surface of another mobile phase, on the surface of a stationary phase. Therefore, here mobile phase in paper chromatography, that will be selected on the basis of type of sample which is to be separated. That means those sample component must be soluble into that mobile phase. If sample components are insoluble in mobile phase, then we does not separate those sample component. Because if sample components are insoluble in mobile phase, those are not carried by the mobile phase. Therefore, function of mobile phase is to carry the sample component through the stationary phase, and therefore the sample component must be soluble or must be miscible in the mobile phase. Therefore, here mobile phase in paper chromatography, that would be selected on the basis of solubility of sample component. Generally, mobile phase in paper chromatography is an organic solvent which is immiscible with water, because moisture that is present on the surface of the cellulose paper. This will be one liquid phase, and in partition chromatography, liquid-liquid partition chromatography, condition is that two liquid must be immiscible with one another. Therefore, generally a organic solvent is selected as a mobile phase in paper chromatography, and generally this may be sometimes miscible or immiscible with the moisture or the water present on the surface of paper. Therefore, here mobile phase in paper chromatography is a liquid, generally a single organic liquid, sometimes mixture of liquid, or sometimes a liquid containing buffer solution. Such a type of mobile phase is used in a paper chromatography. Next step in paper chromatography is a preparation of sample solution. Here the sample solution is prepared into developing solvent. Generally developing solvent is preferred for a preparation of sample solution. Generally sample solution is prepared by using a volatile solvents. Here generally mobile phase is used, and many times if mobile phase is not volatile in nature, then other volatile solvent is used. Volatile solvent does not affect the development because it gets evaporated when we load the sample on the paper. Therefore, generally sample solution in paper chromatography is either prepared in mobile phase or in any other volatile organic solvent. Here a small quantity of sample is added in a sodium fusion tube like this, and here that volatile solvent is added into this tube and sample solution is prepared. Once we prepare the sample solution, next we have to load the sample solution on the paper. For loading the sample solution onto the paper, we have to use a fine capillary. Before loading the sample, we have to draw a thin pencil line on the one end of this paper, and that acts as a baseline here. Therefore, here a thin pencil line is drawn. This will be the baseline. Here, baseline that must be drawn by means of pencil. Do not use ink pen because ink have many pigments, and these pigments may get dissolved into the organic solvent, and we does not separate the particular sample component. Therefore, for a baseline, for drawing a baseline, a pencil is used. Generally, a lead pencil is used for this purpose, and a baseline is drawn to the one end of the paper. Once we dissolve the sample into a sodium fusion tube, after that, by means of fine capillary, sample is loaded on the baseline by means of a fine capillary. Once we load the sample, the solvent which is present in the sample that gets evaporated. Care should be taken that after loading the sample, the paper should not be dried. Otherwise, here the stationary phase, that is moisture, that gets lost, and we does not develop this chromatogram successfully. Therefore, here after loading the sample, the drying of paper is avoided. The volatile solvent that gets evaporated automatically to room temperature, and therefore drying is avoided. After loading the sample, next step is a saturation of tank. Development of this paper chromatography or paper chromatography is carried out into this tank. This tank is a jar. The jar containing mobile phase, and here mouth of the jar is closed by means of a wash glass. 10 to 15 minutes before the development, we have to add this solvent into the jar, and mouth of jar should be closed, so that at normal temperature this solvent is get evaporated and fumes of the solvents are get condensed, or you may say are get saturated in this region of the jar. Therefore, here this step is called as saturation of tank. Saturation of tank is a very essential step in paper chromatography as well as in thin layer chromatography. During the development, when we place a paper or a thin layer, a TLC plate in this developing solvent, and developing solvent is migrating upward direction, and if saturation of tank this step is not carried out, then that developing solvent may get evaporated from the surface of this paper, and therefore here saturation of tank, that is a step carried out. Saturation of tank means simply we have to add that developing solvent into the jar before the development of chromatogram, so that a fumes, or you may say the vapors of that developing solvents are get saturated in the open atmosphere of the jar. Development, the mouth of the jar should be closed, and during the development, mouth of the jar must be closed. Otherwise, if we during the development, if we keep this mouth open, then solvent is get evaporated from the surface of paper and development is not possible. Therefore, saturation of tank is an important step in paper chromatography. Once we carry out the saturation of tank, next step is a development of the chromatogram. Chromatogram that is developed by placing this paper into the developing solvent in this fashion. This is a mobile phase, and here the mouth of this jar should be closed. This is the watch glass. Here the fumes are present on in this region, that is the saturation of tank. Therefore, here this solvent is migrating in upward direction. When we place this paper into jar, care should be taken that this baseline should not be deep into the solvent. Otherwise, here sample components are get dissolved into this developing solvent and no development is possible. Therefore, baseline is always above to developing solvent, and here this developing solvent migrates in upward direction by capillary action. This type of development is called as ascending development. In paper chromatography, when solvent is migrating in upward direction by capillary action, then it is called as ascending development. In many times, descending development is carried out. In this case, there is a solvent tub, and in this solvent tub, here this paper is placed in this fashion, and here this solvent is moved in downward direction by capillary action as well as by the pull of gravity. And this type of development is called as a descending development. Descending development is faster than ascending development, but results obtained in ascending developments are good compared to descending development. Because descending development does not use much more time for the sample component to equilibrate between the stationary phase and the mobile phase. While here ascending development provides sufficient time to the sample component to equilibrate them or to partition them between the stationary phase and the mobile phase. Therefore, ascending development generally used in paper chromatography, and that gives the better result. Once the development is carried out, development is when solvent is migrating in upward direction, and if it is reach about 10 to 12 centimeter from the baseline, or 8 to 10 centimeter from the baseline, after that we have to remove this paper. When we remove this paper, after that we have to mark the position of the solvent. Then position of solvent is marked on this paper, and here this paper is now in this fashion. Here this is a baseline, and here this is a now solvent front. Now after removing the paper, immediately we have to mark the position of solvent. Otherwise, solvent is get lost from the paper and we does not have an exact position of solvent front. Once we mark the position of solvent front, after that we can dry the paper under IR lamp, so that both stationary phase as well as mobile phase both are get lost from the cellulose paper, and we have to dry that cellulose paper. After drying the cellulose paper, in this case here we have to cut this cellulose paper in this fashion. This much portion we have to remove in this way. That means this is the paper, this portion is removed, this is the paper, this portion is removed, this is paper, again this portion is removed, and again this is a paper. In this way, here we have to cut this cellulose paper. Because here we have to mark the position of different components. Here when we load the sample, sample is loaded in the form of a line on this baseline. A line is drawn on the baseline. Therefore here detection of sample that can be carried out by two methods. First method is simply by observing this paper on the ultraviolet lamp, under the ultraviolet lamp. When fluorescent materials are present in the sample, that shows a fluorescence under UV region or in the UV region, and therefore here we can mark the position of that fluorescent material simply by observing the paper under UV radiation, and we can easily mark the position of that fluorescent compound in a UV region or under ultraviolet region. This is a physical method and that is generally used in paper chromatography. If sometimes colored spots are present or colored components are present, then we can directly mark their position by our naked eye. But generally, if colorless compounds are present, then their detection or their location can be carried out by means of chemical method. In chemical method, here specific reagents are used for detection of the particular sample components, and for that purpose we have to cut this paper in this fashion. Therefore here each reagent we have to add on the one strip of this paper. Suppose for example here S2S is used for detection of second A and third P group cation. Hydrogen sulfide S2S gas that gives black precipitate with second A group and third B group element, and their position can be detected simply by exposing this paper to S2S gas. If amino acids are present, then neem hydrine can be used for detection of amino acids. Therefore, amino acids that can be detected by means of neem hydrine. And if some other inorganic elements are present in the sample, then we can use a specific reagent. For example, DMG, dimethyl glyoxide, can be used for detection of nickel. Similarly, dithiazone in chloroform used for detection of lead. Similarly, a ammonium thiocyanate or potassium thiocyanate can be used for detection of Fe3+. Therefore, here these selective reagents are used for detection of specific cation. Therefore, here DMG is added on this strip. If nickel is present, then we have pink color on this strip. Here we observe a pink color on this strip in this fashion. If dithiazone is added on the second strip, if lead is present, then we have a red color on this strip. If ammonium thiocyanate is added on the paper and if there is a iron, then we have again a red color, that is ammonium thiocyanate or thiocyanate gives the red color with the iron third, and therefore detection of iron third can be carried out. In addition to this, if we spray the rupanic acid, if we add on this strip, then we can detect the position of copper. Then we have a green color with the copper when we add the rupanic acid. In this way, by means of specific reagent, we can detect the position of the material or develop spot on a paper chromatography. Once we detect the position, next step is a qualitative analysis. Qualitative analysis in paper chromatography, that is done on the basis of determination of RF value. RF value, that is a retardation force or retardation factor. It is a ratio of distance traveled by solute from baseline to distance traveled by solvent from baseline, and this ratio is called as retardation force or retardation factor, that is a identity of the material. Now here, for calculation of RF value of this compound, here we have to find out the distance from this to this, that is baseline to spot located, and from baseline to solvent friend. This distance, suppose it is A, and this distance, suppose this is X. Therefore, RF value of A is equal to distance travelled by A from the baseline upon distance travelled by a solvent friend. Both distances are measured in a same unit, that is centimeter or millimeter, like this. Therefore, this RF value is calculated for each located or detected spot. RF value, that is an identity of material, like melting point, boiling point or refractive index. This RF value is one of the physical constant. That physical constant is determined by the type of stationary phase and type of mobile phase used in paper chromatography or in thin layer chromatography. RF value is the identity of material. No two compounds under same experimental condition have identical RF value. That means RF value is always different for different compound, and therefore that is one of the identity of material, and we can directly use that property for identification purpose. Therefore, in paper chromatography, the qualitative analysis is done on the basis of calculating the RF value. The RF value which is calculated experimentally, those are matched with the RF value given in the literature or standard value, and we can identify which type of material is present. Secondly, we can also know which type of reagent we are spraying on this paper. If we spray DMG, then we know that there is nickel. If we spray ammonium thiocyanate, then there is iron. Therefore, we also know the particular iron from that particular chemical test. In addition to this, we have to match the RF value. And RF value we can utilize for identification purpose. Basically, thin layer chromatography as well as paper chromatography, both techniques are useful for identification purpose. It is not useful for a quantitative analysis. Thin layer chromatography, TLC, we can use for identification purpose. Paper chromatography is also useful for identification purpose. We does not use those for the quantitative analysis. Therefore, here these are the steps involved in a paper chromatography. First step is selection of cellulose paper, which is used as a support for stationary liquid phase. Second is selection of mobile phase, generally it is immiscible organic solvent. And preparation of sample solution, it is done by using a suitable volatile solvent. Then loading of sample is done by means of fine capillary. Then saturation of tank is done before development of the chromatogram by adding the solvent into the jar or into a chamber. Then development, that will be ascending by capillary action, moving in upward direction, descending downward direction by means of pull of gravity as well as capillary action. Next is detection of spot, that can be done by means of physical method or by using a selective chemical reagent. And finally, once you detect the spot, we can identify them by means of calculating their RF value. Student, this is all about the technique of paper chromatography. Paper chromatography is a partition chromatography. It is useful for identification purpose. It is not useful for quantitative analysis. In paper chromatography, both stationary phase as well as mobile phase are liquids. In this case, with our today's discussion, you can find out what is the type of paper chromatography, whether it's partition or absorption type. What are the stationary and mobile phase in paper chromatography? Explain the separation principle involved in paper chromatography. Explain the technique, experimental technique of paper chromatography, and you have to explain all these factors systematically while explaining the technique of paper chromatography. Student, in forthcoming lecture we discuss the technique of thin layer chromatography. With this, we stop here. Thanks for joining me. Keep learning. Happy learning.